July 3rd, 1988, Persian Gulf, 10:54 in the morning. Iran Air Flight 655 takes off from Bandar Abbas Airport. Scheduled commercial flight, Airbus A300. 290 people on board, men, women, children. 66 of them are under the age of 18. The flight plan is filed. The route is standard. The plane is climbing normally on a civilian corridor. It has used hundreds of times before. 6 minutes after takeoff, it is gone. Shot out of the sky by the United States Navy. The missile that kills all 290 people is fired from USS Vincennes, an Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser, one of the most sophisticated warships in the world, equipped with the Aegis combat system, the most advanced naval radar ever built at that point in history. The crew of the Vincennes tracks the aircraft for 4 minutes and 32 seconds before firing. 4 minutes and 32 seconds to look at a commercial airliner climbing on a published civilian flight path and decide it is a threat. This is the story of what happened in those 4 minutes and what happened in the years after, which is a different kind of story entirely. It is 1988. The Iran-Iraq War has been grinding for 8 years. The United States is not officially a combatant. Officially, the U.S. Navy is in the Persian Gulf to protect neutral shipping from Iranian attacks, a mission called Operation Earnest Will. In practice, American warships are fighting an undeclared war against Iran on a daily basis. 2 months before July 3rd, USS Samuel B. Roberts hits an Iranian mine. 4 sailors are nearly killed. The Navy responds with Operation Praying Mantis, the largest American naval surface engagement since World War II. Several Iranian vessels are sunk. The Persian Gulf is not a peacekeeping mission. It is a war zone with paperwork that says otherwise. USS Vincennes arrives in the Gulf in May 1988. Her commanding officer is Captain William C. Rogers III. By the standards of the U.S. Navy, Rogers is aggressive, unusually so. His crew nicknames the ship Robo-Cruiser, not as a compliment. On the morning of July 3rd, Vincennes is engaged with Iranian gunboats in Iranian territorial waters she is not supposed to be operating in. The engagement is ongoing when Iran Air 655 takes off from Bandar Abbas, 14 miles away. The Aegis system picks it up immediately. Inside the Combat Information Center of USS Vincennes, the picture looks like this. The room is dark. Screens everywhere. 26 men tracking contacts across the Gulf simultaneously. The ship is maneuvering hard, taking fire from Iranian gunboats, returning fire, doing 30 knots through choppy water. Every man in the room is running on adrenaline and noise. On one screen, a contact, climbing, heading toward the ship. The Aegis system identifies the transponder signal correctly. It is squawking Mode 3, the civilian aviation code. Iran Air 655 is broadcasting exactly what it is supposed to broadcast: a commercial aircraft, on a commercial frequency, on a published flight path. What happens next is the part that gets studied in military training programs for decades afterward. The crew reads the data wrong. They report the aircraft is descending. It is climbing. They report the speed is increasing to attack profile. The speed is consistent with a normal commercial departure. One operator reports the contact is squawking Mode 2, a military transponder code. It is not. The civilian Mode 3 signal is clearly present. Mode 2 does not exist on this contact. The operator reads it anyway. In 4 minutes and 32 seconds, the Combat Information Center builds a picture of an Iranian F-14 fighter diving toward the ship on an attack run. Every piece of that picture is wrong. Captain Rogers has a choice. He makes it in seconds. Two SM-2 surface-to-air missiles leave the ship at 10:54 local time. Iran Air 655 is at 13,500 feet when the first missile hits. The aircraft comes apart in the air. Debris falls across a 12-mile area of the Persian Gulf. Bodies, luggage, seat cushions, pieces of fuselage. The water temperature is bath warm. It doesn't matter. Nobody survives an aircraft breaking apart at altitude. 290 people. The youngest victim is 10 months old. Iranian rescue boats reach the area within the hour. They pull bodies from the water for days. The Iranian government releases footage. The images go around the world. In Washington, the response is immediate. The Pentagon confirms that USS Vincennes fired on an aircraft. The statement describes the engagement as a defensive action against what the crew believed was an attacking Iranian military aircraft. The word believed is doing a great deal of work in that sentence. Vice President George H.W. Bush, who is 3 months away from winning the presidential election, addresses the United Nations. He does not apologize. He says the United States deeply regrets the loss of lives. He says the captain of the Vincennes acted appropriately, given the information available. He says Iran bears responsibility for the incident because of its continued aggression in the Gulf. In Tehran, the government calls it a crime, a massacre, state murder. They are not entirely wrong. The investigation begins immediately and concludes quickly. The Navy's formal inquiry finds that Captain Rogers acted within the rules of engagement. It finds that the crew was under stress. It finds that the misidentification was an understandable error given the combat environment. It does not find that the ship was in Iranian territorial waters when the engagement began, though she was. It does not find that every data point the crew used to justify the shootdown was incorrect, though they were. The investigation is not designed to find those things. It is designed to answer a specific question. Did the captain follow procedure? The answer is close enough to yes that the Navy moves on. Captain Rogers is not court-martialed. He is not reprimanded. He serves out his command and retires from the Navy in 1991. At his retirement ceremony, he is awarded the Legion of Merit, one of the highest non-combat military decorations in the United States. The citation praises his exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service. The crew of USS Vincennes receives combat action ribbons for the engagement on July 3rd, the engagement in which they shot down a commercial airliner. In 1992, Newsweek publishes an investigation. It finds that the Aegis system data, the raw, unedited data from the ship's own computers, shows clearly that Flight 655 was climbing, not descending. That it was accelerating at a rate consistent with a commercial departure, not an attack profile. That the Mode 2 military transponder reading never existed. The Navy does not reopen the investigation. 5 months after Flight 655, on December 21st, 1988, Pan Am Flight 103 explodes over Lockerbie, Scotland. 270 people die. The bomb is traced to Libyan intelligence. Libya eventually accepts responsibility and pays compensation to the families. But in the immediate aftermath, Iranian fingerprints are everywhere in the investigation. Multiple intelligence services believe Iran contracted the Lockerbie bombing as retaliation for Flight 655. That the order came from Tehran within days of the shootdown. That the target An American commercial aircraft was chosen deliberately. This is never proven in court. It is also never fully disproven. The families of Flight 655 file suit against the United States government. In 1996, the U.S. pays $61.8 million in compensation, roughly $213,000 per victim. The settlement contains no admission of wrongdoing. The United States government has never formally apologized for the shoot-down of Iran Air Flight 655. The Vincennes returns to San Diego after her Gulf deployment. She is decommissioned in 2005 and sunk as a target in a naval exercise in 2010. Here is what the Aegis system actually recorded on July 3rd, 1988. A commercial aircraft, climbing normally, squawking the correct civilian transponder code, on a published flight path. 14 miles from an airport it had just departed. The most advanced naval radar system in the world saw exactly what was there. The men reading it saw what they expected to see. This is the part that gets studied, not the technology. The technology worked perfectly. The part that gets studied is what happens to human judgment inside a darkened room, under fire, under pressure, when the mind starts filling in gaps with what it already believes. The term for it is confirmation bias. Psychologists had been writing about it for decades before July 3rd, 1988. After July 3rd, the U.S. military began taking it seriously in a way it hadn't before, building it into training, into protocols, into the way combat information centers are designed and staffed. 290 people died to teach that lesson. Whether it was learned is a different question. Captain Rogers has given few interviews over the years. In the interviews he has given, he maintains that he made the correct decision with the information available to him. He has never expressed doubt about the shoot-down. He lives quietly in San Diego. The families of the victims still gather on July 3rd each year. In Iran, it is a national day of mourning. In the United States, most people have never heard of Iran Air Flight 655.